dudes? How you living? Brainsmasher. Let's talk about some fucking vinyl. The only thing keeping me from eating this entire bag of chips is this video. So, let's fucking do this. I'm feeling good. We're listening to Death Breath, Stinking Up the Night. I just got this in the mail. I always just kind of figured, this probably sucks. It's probably just a some kind of entombed underling kind of thing or whatnot. But we'll see how it is. A friend of mine, Marcy, I don't know if you're watching, did like an Instagram story with this playing in the background, and I heard a riff. I heard a fucking good riff, and I was like, what was that? She said it was Death Breath, Stinking Up the Night. So I bought it. Here it is. Speaking of, wait, what are we doing today? Thought I would talk about some vinyl reissues of note. Lots of notes on them, and they are noteworthy. Yeah. So I've been getting a couple of vinyl in here and there. I got a couple more expected, but just kind of realized I don't care about new music anymore. At least not right now. I did hear a kind of interesting new band earlier. You ever notice that? You get like 2 records in the mail, and then you just find yourself sitting around listening to some fucking new band that you... I do that. Panegyrist is who I was listening to. Interesting stuff. Anyway, speaking of the rockers from Asparagus, Entombed. This is good so far. With Left Hand Path. Their quintessential masterpiece. So good. So this is an earache reissue. I think it came out this year. Full dynamic range. I don't know. It sounds pretty good. Inner sleeve. Black vinyl. I like that Earache is making these albums be available, keeping them in print. A lot of these death metal classics are... I kind of feel like a lot of us are like blowing all our money on old versions of albums that aren't being kept in print. So Earache is not doing that. This record is fucking phenomenal. Jammed it just the other day. Kind of like the Seance, or Never Laid to Rest. I'm kind of new to it. I don't know what it was. I could have been wrong. About a year or two ago, I bought this on CD at a used store. I put it in, and either I hadn't listened to it in 15 years or something like that, or I had never listened to it, or just the constellation of everything fell so perfectly that I just blew my fucking mind like nothing else ever had before. But I bought it in Minneapolis, and I put it in, and I just drove like a fucking madman throughout Minneapolis traffic, just banging the fuck out of my head. So yeah, like what it came down to was that I always had Clandestine, and I was always like, yeah, I don't know, it's pretty good, and thought I had heard this album and kind of thought the same, but either, like I said, either I was wrong or whatever. But now, today, this album fucking smashes Christians to death in the face forever. Speaking of these sons of bitches, I'm so in love with this album lately. You know, I touched upon this in my last video, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. Black Mark reissued this year. I don't remember if it ever did come out on vinyl the first time around, but this shit... I don't say that metal is sick very often, but this really fits the bill. Came in the mail. My mailman must not like me that much because I think it came dented in the mail. Comes with a one-sided inner sleeve. Nice, thick, heavy vinyl. Maybe 180 gram. there you go. If you're not familiar with seances for Never Laid to Rest, a lot of people say it's like the Swedish answer to Deicide, Legion, or self-titled, or what have you. Nonetheless, it is a classic masterpiece that must be banged. What else we got? Got this in today. Oh, where are you? I've talked about this album a couple times this year on my channel, but I'm not gonna stop. Actually, this is the last format other than tape that I don't have it on, but so maybe this is the last time I talk about it. Have you listened to this yet? This is Centuries of Sorrow by one of my favorite bands, Obtained Enslavement. The artwork has been redone. This is so goddamn amazing. This was my desktop wallpaper on my laptop for many, many months, and I just never got sick of looking at this. Somebody took the original artwork and just kind of redid it, touched it up, made it a lot more nice. So well done. And it comes with a really big poster of it. Look at that. So I might have to get a frame and put that up. So the Crypt put this out, limited to 500 copies. This is number 451. This includes the self-titled demo from 1992, and Out of the Crypt's demo from 93, and the original full-length Centuries of Sorrow. If you think you know what this sounds like based on Obtained Enslavement's other material, you might be kind of wrong. This is a brilliant record, but it's not that classically composed, super symphonic kind of music that you hear on Witchcraft and Soul Blight. This is, I don't know, it's more down-tuned, it's very guttural, like a death metal record would be, but there are some very early leanings toward Mayhem, Emperor, things like that, where things are a lot more thematic rather than brutal and intense, I guess. So it's just a really cool thing to have reissued by the Crypt. Man, I can't thank the Crypt enough for putting these out, putting out so many amazing reissues. Not only putting out albums that I already love, but also bringing to people's attention albums that totally deserve to be reimagined in today's world or what have you. So, you'll probably have to pay a lot of money to get this. I lucked out, got it on eBay for 30 bucks. Keep an eye out for them gems, my buds. In my last video, I showed a release that we did on Pagan Flames, and a couple of you guys responded well, and I really appreciated it. So here's another one. Horn with Naturecraft. I don't know if this is still available from Pagan Flames, but I'm sure you can find this, if not, from another distro using themetaldetector.com, one of my favorite resources for the metal collector, or just Discogs. Pretty cheap. I don't know, I think this album is fucking brilliant. By the way, I hate the artwork. Absolutely hate this reissued artwork, but the artist insisted on having the cover and everything just turned into this. It looks like a hiking trail pamphlet, but I assure you this is God, I can't even stand to look at this thing actually. It's an amazing record though, and you should be able to get it for very cheap. It's a double LP. Just black vinyl, yeah. Not much to look at. I was really looking forward to doing the layout on this because I was the one who came up with the idea to reissue this. I was the one who contacted, I can't remember his name now, but the dude from Horn with the idea of doing this. And I hate the way it looks. Anyways, the record is fantastic. Really, really, really raw pagan black metal from Germany. There's really nothing like it. Horn, this is like his maybe third record and I think he did an album last year called Termamang, and I think that might have been like 3 or 4 albums after this one. He really started to kind of, I think, write for a bigger audience, honestly. It has worked well for him, and he's done some fantastic work since then. But Naturecraft for me is just right where it's at. As you go back through his discography, even the early days, there's moments where his songwriting prowess and skill is just jaw-dropping. And I think in Naturecraft is really where he hits his stride. He's recorded well. He's performing the songs pretty damn well. And this is a fantastic record. Catchy stuff, melodic stuff. Some stuff is just fucking insanely grim. Get this if you can. Naturecraft by Horn. What do we got else? What else we got? Let's see here. So, this isn't a recent acquisition, but this record fucking rules. Chrisian just put out a new record, but this is the one you need. Apocalyptic Revelation is perfect. It's a perfect Brazilian death metal record. A lot of people, I think, prefer their one before this. Was there 2 before this? Maybe an album and an EP before it. It's good, it's fun, but this thing is an absolute blasphemous fucking fist in the face of God. It's so good. This just, when I think Chrisian, I think of this record, and I kind of feel like they've buried this record underneath a lot more records that didn't really live up to how intense, memorable, catchy, and just, it's just like a steamroller of an album. Apocalyptic Revelation, Century Media did this. Got a little flyer in there. Printed inner sleeve, probably black vinyl. No. Yeah. In all its glory. Orange vinyl. It's been a while since I spun this, but I used to listen to this record very, very, very often when I first got it. It's probably one of my top 10 death metal records of all time. Fucking amazing. It's like, some people think of it as a Brazilian death metal record, and it is, but to me, it's just as important as a death metal record from anywhere else. Fucking awesome. What's next? Let's talk about a pooper. Message d'hiver. Did I already talk about this? One of my videos? I hope not. Gang. This came out a couple of weeks ago. I think Kunsthal put this out, actually. I ordered it on CD and LP, having little familiarity with the album. Now, Message d'hiver's self-titled record is, we could talk for days about that. It is a perfect masterpiece. One of the most important experiences of my life was listening to that record. Anyways, and I kind of always thought, like, I just always listened to that record, but wasn't very familiar with his other albums. So I blindly bought this, thinking it might not be as good as the self-titled record, but how could it be bad? But it kind of sucks. There's 2 songs on it. One of them is very death metal, but like mid-paced, kind of slow, plodding along kind of death metal. I don't know. I've never really heard anything like it because I don't listen to bad music very often. There's just no way around it. It's just not very good. There's a little bit of redemption to be had on the second side. This is also kind of weird. This is actually the sleeve of the jacket for the record. It's like newsprint. This came out with the announcement that I think Message d'hiver's entire discography will remain in print on vinyl and CD going forward. So that's kind of cool. I just need to make sure that I listen to all his albums before I buy them, I guess, because I didn't know that he had an album that was kind of a stinker. So anyways, the last song on the second side is kind of good. I don't know. It's just, there it is. Chatten Gang, Paysages d'Hiver. It's kind of good. No, it's not. It's alright. Next, man, Eucharist with A Velvet Creation. A Swedish death metal classic. Vinyl for the first time? Am I wrong? I'm not sure. But a little known label called Wolf's Bane Records reissued this in an edition of 500. I believe Nuclear War now is able to get copies in the States. You may be able to still find it because a lot of people just don't know the brilliance of this album. This is kind of like reworked artwork, and I kind of like it. It's all right. I would have been happy with the original cover as well. I really like the nice thick cardstock band photos. That I don't think I've ever seen that band photo. And then there is a folded inner sleeve there. They were so young when this was written. If you're a fan of unanimated, dissection, sacramentum, any of that stuff, this will be totally up your alley. It's unapologetically melodic and catchy. There's tons of just totally emotional harmonies going on. Kind of black inside of there. But yeah, they did a really good job. I'm going to pay attention to what else this label, Wolfsbane, puts out in the future, because this is a fantastic reissue. And finally, but not leaving the country of Sweden, we have Dawn's Slaughter Son. Now this, I think, is the second, maybe third reissue of this album on vinyl. They did it in 2013. If I'm not mistaken, and it sold out because it was limited to like 300 copies or something like that. Double LP. I really need to get a etched patch of that logo. Clear vinyl. It's kind of smoky, kind of hazy. I never know if that's intentional or not, but I kind of have a love-hate relationship with this record. I love this band. I love their debut. I love Sorg på Svarte Vingerflo, the EP that came out before this, but a little bit of a lineup change. We've got Joka Peterson on drums, and I don't know if it was just the addition of Joka that changed the style of the music so much, but they really went for a more intense, more blast beat driven style of Swedish black metal that was really prevalent for its time period. This originally was released in '98, and I kind of liked the intricacies, and I felt like the melodies weren't so pressed upon by the drummer and just the overall production in the previous albums. This is just a little bit more modern, and it's kind of always bothered me. Also, it was recorded by, I'm told it's pronounced Peter Tegren. I'm not sure, but you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I bought it just in case I ever kind of changed the way I felt about it, but it is a great record. It's just, if this were another band, maybe I would be totally head over heels in love with it. It's just not the Dawn. It's not the album that I wanted Dawn to put out following Sorg på Svarte Vingerflo. If they could have recorded an album just like Sorg på Svarte, only longer, oh man. They might be my favorite band if that were to ever happen. So, songs ended, videos ended. Thanks for joining me.